This Thrive Loud episode is brought to you by Hinge Consulting. Success on Amazon hinges on well-executed strategies. Contact Hinge Consulting to learn about total Amazon channel management and to see if your business has what it takes to grow over 300% over the next 12 months. That's Hinge Consulting at hingeconsulting.co.
Today on Thrive Loud.
And everyone's body is their temple. Anyone sitting out there, your body is your temple.
Hey Thrive Loud listeners, this is Allie.
This is Kayla.
And this is Kelsey. And we're the trio that really gets things done here on Thrive Loud.
We have a great episode coming up today, but first we need your support.
For starters, please subscribe to Thrive Loud on either iTunes or Overcast.
If you're an iTunes listener, give us a rating and write what you like about the show.
And if you're an Overcast listener, make sure to click that little gold star to recommend our show.
If you want to learn more about future episodes, upcoming guests, and other great things happening with Thrive Loud,
go to thriveloud.com and fill out the Get Connected form at either the top or bottom of the page.
Thanks again, and let's get on with the show.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. Today on Thrive Loud, we bring you former Israeli military commander, doctor, champion ballroom dancer, speaker, expert communicator, and author. Yeah, that's right. I literally have that all bundled into one amazing person on the show today. Her book, Power Conversations, the first book in a series representing her high-performance triad, is one we'll definitely delve into a bit on our interview. She's a fellow NSA speaker and C-suite network advisor. Thrive Loud listeners, Dr. Karen Jacobson. Karen, how are you today?
I want to meet that person. Who is that? Oh my God, no.
She is the spectacular, thriving individual that is on this show because she is that good. Karen and I have known each other now for a little over 2.5 years, I can't believe, or maybe even longer. From all of our NSA and C-suite network overlapping worlds that we see each other. She is spectacular, a lot of fun, and she is all those things, which I think is what I think our Thrive Loud listeners definitely want to hear, along with a lot of stuff that she's going to be sharing about her book and her high-performance triad. So what I love to do, Karen, is have you take the reins here and start sharing a little bit of your journey on how we got to this point, because you do have an unbelievable package of things in your life, and I think people will love to hear about it. So that sound like a good way to kick this off?
Sure, and I'll let you lead with questions along the way. You know,
Yes,
you remember,
perfect.
We're speakers. We're both NSA professional speakers. When speakers start speaking, you know, you could be sitting and talking to them 5 hours later and they don't take a breath. So
I'll make sure I interject appropriately.
yeah. Well, first of all,
take it away, Doctor.
Lou, thanks for having me on your show. It's my honor to be able to share with you a little bit about my journey. And, you know, one of the things that when I think about some of the stuff that I have experienced and that I have done, and I think about a question that people ask very often, you know, if you could do it all over again, what would you change? Or what would you tell your younger self? And I listen to those questions, and when I look at my life, I would never change a thing. Good, bad,
I'm with you on
otherwise.
that. I'm with you on that. And you have such an amazing story with that. I mean, like, I love the journey. All these people that say, would I do it differently? No way.
You know,
Not that I
because
could.
we wouldn't be who we are. We wouldn't be, I would
Right.
not be the person that I am today if I did not have the experiences that I've had. You know, to sum it up, I lived in 2 different countries. I started my childhood out, somewhere by you in New York, and moved when I was 6 years old. I moved to Israel, and I spent the following 15 years there. I went through school. I went through 2 wars. I was in the Israeli army, and I also had my own challenges. At 17, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that's called systemic lupus, which basically means your body becomes its own enemy. And
Right.
I still served in the Army with that. I still accomplished my dream, even though I may have not been a commissioned officer out in the field. I was still an uncommissioned officer, and I had 80 women under my command and a lot of other things. So what really I would say is typical for my journey is the fact that when there was something that challenged me along the way, I looked for ways to overcome and
Right.
get to the other side so that I can make my life better.
I like how you've taken. By the way, it's interesting. I know a few people with lupus, which is a very challenging uh, thing to have, and obviously that's constantly what you are doing is trying to fight and overcome things internally, and obviously in what you're doing in your career. That's a good mirror, and I guess a great example of how to make the most and the best of everything, which you certainly do each and every day. So when you came back from Israel, and well, just a quick question: when you studied, were you a doctor in Israel or over here in the States? When
No,
did that?
no,
Okay, keep going.
I literally spent 15 years to the day in
Hmm.
Israel. I moved there on April 4th, and then 15 years later, April 4th, I moved back. And moved back, lived with my father, who was back in the States, ended up going to chiropractic school. But the reason I got to chiropractic school is because chiropractic was that last key in the series of what helped me heal naturally from systemic lupus. And that's how I
Great.
got my health back, which at that time I made it a vow that if I could change one person's life a day by helping them and changing their health, then I really fulfilled my mission and I can go to sleep at night. I
That's great.
spent
I love that.
I spent about just under 7 years in New York, and that's where I had a car accident. The
Hmm.
car accident, I was in a head-on collision that put me on disability for a year, and I was forced to let go and sell my practice, and decided that if I'm going to start all over again, I would stop shoveling snow because I was done with that. So I
I
moved
hear
to the
you.
land of sunshine, and not Florida, but actually Arizona. I moved out to Arizona, decided to start a practice, even though I did not know whether I'd be able to actually adjust people or not. And legally, 2 days after I opened the doors of my new office in Scottsdale, Arizona, I got clearance to start adjusting people.
Very cool.
I
And
spent, I
how many?
spent,
Yeah.
well, I spent at that time, I spent probably, oh, 15 in all in total. I was in chiropractic practice for 24 years, but a certain drive came in when I did a television show here in town about 8 years ago, and it was called Healthy You for University TV show. Did that for a year and a half and started doing everything from first being a sponsor and having my own segment all the way to helping with editing, production, and even hosting, being one of the interviewers and the hosts of the show, a fill-in. That really brought me back to one of my passions, which was being in front of people. So the
Hmm.
bug to leave the practice and start speaking was what came in at that time. And the final step, I stepped out of practice in a couple of phases, but the final phase of letting go and not seeing my people anymore was back in December of 2015, where I had fully stepped into my current platform of high performance.
So let's make that segue here because this is pretty cool stuff, and I know it because I've read about it and I've also seen some of your stuff online. Share with the listeners a little bit about what the high performance triad is, and obviously there's a lot of pieces to it, but these power conversations that you talk about and how that transcends, because it's a very powerful message. You do a great job of delivering that message, and help the listeners understand a little bit of the background as to what you focus on.
Thank you, Lou. When I talk about high performance, for me, it has always been something that I used in my own life. that's no matter what I did, I always wanted to do my best. It's from lessons that I learned and really followed my grandfather. My grandfather was a major influence in my life, even though I only got to spend very little time with him. But I watched him, and I watched how he devoted himself to everything that he did. And he was just so passionate about learning and creating power events in his own life. And as a little kid, when there was something that I wanted to know or wanted to learn, he would take me by the hand, bring me over to the dictionary or the encyclopedia. Yes, they were not on the phone yet. They were big, heavy
Right.
books. And as a matter of fact, he bought me when I was in third grade. He bought me my first children's encyclopedia. And I was that, I was an athlete too, but I was also the kid that was the nerd that would sit in bed with a flashlight and read from the encyclopedia.
Right.
And as I looked at challenges in my life, as I mentioned to you, I always wanted to see, how can I make the best out of things? How can I turn lemon into lemonade? So in my journey, I looked at what are some of the elements that I really follow. And when I created the high performance triad, I looked at the skill sets, the mindset, and the habits that we have in life, which helped me develop the 3 legs of the triad. So the first leg is leadership, how I lead myself and how also I lead other people in my life around me. The second one is language. It's the way I communicate with myself, my inner talk, and my outer conversations with other people, because that's how we build relationships. And it's tied directly, of course, to leadership, because we can't lead unless we've created a relationship. The third one is my habits, and that would be my lifestyle. Especially after having healed from the lupus, I was so grateful because I felt like I got a second chance. And my body is my temple.
Yep.
And everyone's body is their temple. Anyone sitting out there, your body is your temple. You might have anywheres, no matter whether it's 5 years, 50 years, 80 years. That's what you spend your time in. So I nurture my body, my mind, and my soul. So
What I love about this, sorry,
I was just going to say,
Keep going.
It's about the habits that I create to allow myself to also maximize the other areas. That's why it's a triad, and that's why they're all connected.
It makes sense. And I love the connection piece. I also love, there's another connection in this just from what we've briefly learned about you. Obviously, your experience in the military with leadership. Language is the way that you are an expert communicator from all of your experiences there, and how you live your life is all married into this. So you've taken truly what matters most to you and are sharing that strength and that power with the people you speak to, with the people that you work with. And I guess that's a good question, because a lot of your speaking, you do more than just speaking. You actually have you do workshops and you connect with different people. You want to talk a little bit about that as well. I'm just more curious because I love hearing how people take their message and deliver it as effectively as they can.
Well, as being someone that is a high performer myself, and you would know that because that's one of the reasons why you and I connect so well, is looking at especially how we used to characterize people in the past that were high performers. There's a word we used to use. We called them type A personalities, because of the fact that they can be very intense and they really go, go, go. I, because of my experience, learned that there needs to be some type of equilibrium. You cannot go, 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 go without crashing. So what I bring to people like us that are high performers is a concept of dynamic equilibrium, which basically means if I focused, for instance, on a project, I was writing my book, and my book actually had a hard timeline. I had to get it out on time and in time for a big keynote event where I was giving a speech and I had to have tangible books. But I also had a short timeline. It was less than 3 weeks to write it. So I dropped, aside from my personal rituals, which I do every single day to get myself ready for the day, I dropped just about everything else and spent actually it was about 2.5 weeks intensively writing. And once that happened, I was done. I handed in the manuscript. I pulled back. Right. I took a couple days of rest. I allowed that pendulum to swing a little bit towards the other side to create equilibrium. And I say specifically equilibrium, not balance, because if you think about it, when you look at a scale and the scales are balanced, then there's no movement, right? But if
it's very true. I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
If you have dynamic equilibrium, there's always flow, there's always motion, and you can move from one area in your life and give it your energy and your time, and then flow back to another area in a really natural and organic fashion.
Yeah, I like that. And what I also like about it is that it's the healthier way to think about, like, I never liked the whole work-life balance. You're only putting those two things there. We have so many other things we're doing. And even just the way that you're doing it. When you focused all that time into one key task because you need to, you're hurting the other one. So you have to balance it out in different flows. We would love to be able to have every day flow as nicely and evenly, but we know that life gets in the way and work gets in the way. But still, you still kept those rituals, which is cool. And then you knew after that certain amount of time, I need a break. I need to balance it all out. How long when you think about this, do you have a time that you think about how you have to get back into that equilibrium, or it depends?
It's very organic, Lou. It's not only that it's organic, but I do long-term planning, but I also do short-term planning. So my day is planned and mastered. By the same token, I also look at what my bigger project is. So when I work with clients, I work with a lot of professionals, whether it's doctors, lawyers, realtors, those that are professional corporations in their businesses, as well as medium, sometimes small, depends on how small the business is, but not really as much unless it's a really high-end solo entrepreneur. But I work with them not only to help them be able to become high performers, but also high performing leaders and build a high performance team.
Yeah.
So
great.
To give you an example, a client that I'm working with right now, I'm doing executive mentorship with him, and he's looking to position himself more as a leader, less as a manager, and had delegated manager to another guy on his team. And now the next step is, once I work with him, we now have to work and build the team, because if we don't build the team, we're actually moving him further away from the rest of his team because he's moving forward and they may not be.
Right. So true. We are here with Dr. Karen Jacobson, who is truly the high performance guru and also focusing on this high performance triad. And one of the questions I love to ask the Thrive Loud guests, Karen, is when you have trouble thriving, who do you turn to get yourself back on the thriving track?
I turn to music. Music
Okay.
moves my soul. You know, I have a number of people in my life that are my support system. I have those that would be my business support system. I have those that would be more my spiritual support system. I have those that would be more of my family type of support, depending on what arena in my life. One of the things that I do, that when I get stuck, first of all, I actually go get quiet. Because, and when I mean quiet, I'll go within, I'll really hone down on my rituals. And music has been something that has been soothing to me since the time that I was a kid. Now, I grew up in an era where it was okay. We lived in a big apartment building in Israel. And when my mom she used to go out after a certain age where we didn't have babysitters, the radio and the music was my babysitter. Because my little sister, she was already asleep, but I would be the one. I would have to turn the lights, make sure the door is locked, and I would make sure that the radio was on. And whether it was classical music or Israeli music, I would always make sure that I would leave that on and allow that to comfort me so that I can rest and sleep. But the reason I go within is because I want to find out where the challenge is, what the true cause of the problem is, and then bring it out so that I can start thinking outside the box.
I like it. I love the music thing, and I want to segue to this because obviously music is an important part of something that means something to you, and so has dance. So can I ask a little bit about this because you obviously are a champion ballroom dancer, and that's obviously related into the music and the equilibrium and the balance and the flow of things. Do you still dance today? Let's ask that question.
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I have been competing in Latin ballroom dance for the past 12 years. Right now, I've been moved up to a certain level, so we're really focusing on technique and new choreography. Dance has always been a passion of mine and self-expression, which is something that I even bring in to power conversations and when I work with people, because dance is about that dynamic flow. Think of it. It's the dance of life. When I first started dancing, I remember having a conversation with my instructor, and I've been dancing with the same partner instructor. He owns the studio for the past 12 years. And we were doing a certain element, and I was self-leading. And he's like, Karen, he goes, let me just put this out very clearly. He goes, dance is like life. Now, my job as the man is to help you paint the picture, and my job is to lead you. Let me do my job.
Right.
And it was really interesting because one of the things that was very, I would say, was common for him is that a lot of his students were strong, independent females. And what the gift that he has given us was the opportunity to be able to also know how to be led, even though we were leaders. And the lessons that dance has taught me about life and about anchoring myself and stability and relationships and communication and connection are endless.
Yeah. And it's so true that you need to know how to have been led well to be able to lead well. And I think you embody a lot of that in the way that you communicate in your message. I'll also add, for those that have met Karen Jacobson in person, she has the best posture in the entire world. She has dancer posture as best as you can be. So if I always feel like I need to stand up straighter whenever I'm next to her, I'm like, man, she's got her whole dance form and proper, her core as strong as can be. So it's always a pleasure to see all that and where it all comes from. I've got a good question for you, Karen, because this is a tough one. And I want to hear where you go with this. You have many lessons that you offer to the people when you speak. But if you can give one word of advice to the Thrive Loud listener who is on that journey of trying to figure out maybe how they should lead better, what message would you communicate that out to today?
I would say the most important thing for anyone who wants to lead better is to literally take a look inside and discover first who you are, what you want, what your values are, and connect with your truth, your essence, your soul. And know that for some people that might sound, even when I say connect to your soul, use a little bit different words. Use your heart's desire. But when you can feel really comfortable with yourself and you allow yourself to be authentic, you don't even need to worry about who is going to follow. People will show up and be drawn to you automatically because you then act as a magnet.
I could not agree more and preach that choir. Hear, hear. It's very well said. Karen, if you could, give the Thrive Out listeners all the places that they can find you, social media, your websites, and anything that's upcoming down, throughout 2018, if you would, just so we have it on the calendar so we know where to find you.
I am all over social media, and it's really easy to find me because of the fact that I make it simple. It's Dr. Karen, which is traditional spelling, Karen, Jacobson, Jacobson. That is the name of my website. That is the name of my Facebook, my Twitter handle, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, and my Pinterest. And my Google+.
You got it all.
Got them
everything.
all.
You are one brand, one look, and I love it. It's all there. And the book is obviously accessible on Amazon or any of the links that you would have for it, right?
Yes, indeed. They could get, if they want to get it autographed, then they could get it directly from me. And it is available on my website, along with a couple of other books that I have, some books where I've contributed to. And that's also where they can find my blog and other things that they might want to read. There's plenty of videos from my YouTube channel. Everything is there.
Excellent. And we will put all the links there directly. So if all the Thrive Out listeners will find it on Karen's page here for the podcast page. So before we hit the record button, Thrive Out listeners, we were blessed with something that you guys won't hear, but we're going to lead in this direction because as I ask every Thrive Loud guest that's on the show, I always ask them what their favorite movie is. We'll share a little behind the scenes after she answers the question. So we'll go through that. Karen, what is your favorite movie of all time?
So I tend to stump with that question because I like variety, but anything that is music or dance movie goes in my category. And I'm actually very excited right now because of the fact that Mamma Mia 2 is coming out. And one of the things about Mamma Mia that I love is it's, for those that that might remember even back for the days when ABBA sang that, and I remember that as a child in Israel. It's happy music. Now the words may not always be happy, but the music, there's something very happy about the way they play. And like I said, music, it feeds my soul.
It was something that I grew up with, obviously growing up in the 70s as well. And I'm just laughing because I know one of the albums and I don't know the name of it. But the song was like, take a chance, right? Take a chance. Take a chance on your mind.
Yeah.
I know you were going to say that was it. So I did see the Mamma Mia movie, and the bummer about the movie is because I saw the Broadway play, which was very, very good. And whether you like ABBA or not, it doesn't make a difference. But then when they made the movie, and they made Pierce Brosnan sing. Now, did they really need to do that? I mean, everybody else was excellent, but Pierce, he just couldn't hold it up.
No, I know. That was like the common, that was the common conversation during that time. You could enjoy looking at him, but don't sing, please.
Yeah. So I will say this. She did list it for the other list. She really listed movies like Grease, West Side Story, Dance with Me, all these really great movies about dance. Actually, Dance with Me, that's is that the Richard Gere and Jennifer Lopez one? Do I have that right? Do I have that right? Or do I have that? Okay. See, there's a lot of
dance. Yeah. Dance with Dance with Me is with Cheyenne and Jennifer Lopez, I believe.
Okay. Well, there you go.
No, not Jennifer
all
Lopez.
All of those. Not Jennifer Lopez.
I don't remember. It was with Cheyenne now.
Oh, no. I know. No, I know who it is. It's Vanessa Williams.
Vanessa Williams. Thank you. Yes.
which is showing my diversity and range here of all the different movies that we know. But I will say all the dance movies are always fun, whether you like them or not. So I do appreciate that. And it's perfect because, like you said, it's upbeat. And I think that's true about the Mamma Mia stuff. So I hope you enjoy the new movie when it comes out.
Oh, I plan on it. It's about, that's the other thing. It's about, when we talk about that dynamic equilibrium, it's about finding those moments that you connect to your joy. I believe personally that happiness it's an inside job. And though we are preconditioned and preset in our default through society, through generation and generation, to really be more about worry and fight or flight, because that's part of the survival, you can program yourself to happiness. And you don't become happy when something happens. You just be happy and you enjoy something else more because it happened.
Great. And I love that. And I think that's put the cherry on the top to what was an absolutely fun episode here with you, Karen. This was a pleasure. And thank you for sharing your wisdom, your kindness, and all your brilliance here on Thrive Loud. This was so much fun to have you on today.
Well, thank you again for being such a gracious host and for having me on your show.
Anytime. And this was a lot of fun. We will send all the links to everybody. And to all the Thrive Loud listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be God.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.